Welcome back. Have you ever wondered if an ordinary-looking 1-cent coin could actually be worth big money? In today's video, we're looking at 5 Lincoln wheat pennies that collectors should never overlook in 2026. These coins may look like simple old cents, but certain dates, mint marks, rare varieties, errors, and high-grade examples can make them far more desirable than their 1-cent face value. The exciting part is that you might already have one hiding in an old collection, coin jar, inherited group of coins, or even among forgotten wheat pennies. We'll examine the history, important identifying features, and current market value possibilities of all 5 coins, and explain why some examples can command hundreds, thousands, or potentially much more. So grab your wheat pennies, check the details closely, and let's begin the hunt for these hidden Lincoln cent treasures. Let's get started. First up, the 1927 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why genuine Philadelphia examples carry no mint mark. Approximately 144,440,000 examples were produced, and the coin was made from the traditional bronze composition of about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a weight of approximately 3.11 grams. In today's collecting market, most circulated 1927 Philadelphia cents are not automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. However, coins preserved in unusually high grades, especially attractive red or red-brown examples, can command dramatically higher prices. This is exactly why collectors should never judge a 1927 penny simply by its age. The real story is in the details: how well the coin survived, how sharply it was struck, what color it has today, whether it has unusual characteristics, and whether it can be authenticated and professionally graded. The 1927 Lincoln wheat cent belongs to the famous Lincoln cent series that began in 1909, featuring Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This design was historically important because Lincoln became the first U.S. president to appear on a regularly circulating American coin. The reverse features the familiar pair of wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, along with the Latin motto E Pluribus Unum. By 1927, the design had already been circulating for nearly 2 decades, making this penny part of an important period in American coinage history. The 1927 issue also came from the Philadelphia Mint, so collectors looking at a genuine 1927 Philadelphia cent should expect to see no letter beneath the date. This is an important point because some new collectors mistakenly think that every old U.S. coin must have a mint letter. Philadelphia coins from this era commonly carried no mint mark. The 1927 cent, therefore, represents not only an old piece of American money, but also a surviving example of early 20th century U.S. mint production. One of the first things collectors should examine is the date. On a 1927 Philadelphia wheat penny, you should clearly see 1927, while the area below the date does not contain a D or S mint mark. The absence of a mint mark is not an error on this particular issue. It identifies the coin as a Philadelphia minted example. The coin's reverse is equally important. Look carefully at the wheat stalks, lettering, central 1-cent denomination, and the overall sharpness of the design. A heavily circulated example may have flattened wheat lines, worn lettering, and a smooth appearance across Lincoln's hair and facial features. By contrast, a high-grade coin can preserve much stronger details, original luster, and attractive surfaces. Collectors also pay close attention to color. Brown coins generally show substantial natural aging and circulation, while red-brown and especially red examples can bring significantly different prices when they are in high grades. This is one reason photographs alone can sometimes be misleading. A coin that appears attractive to the naked eye may still have scratches, cleaning, environmental damage, or other problems that reduce its numismatic value. When discussing the 1927 wheat penny's current market value, condition must be placed at the center of the conversation. A worn coin that has spent many years in circulation can be relatively affordable, while a sharply preserved coin can be worth substantially more. Current reference data shows just how wide this range can be. One 2026 price reference lists a typical 1927 Philadelphia wheat penny at around $0.30 in good condition, $0.43 in fine, $0.74 in very fine, $2.50 in extremely fine, $6.25 in about uncirculated, and around $12 to $19 in uncirculated grades, depending on the specific grade and market source. These figures demonstrate why simply calling every 1927 penny rare can be misleading. A 1927 cent is certainly old and collectible, but millions were originally produced. The real rarity appears when you move into exceptional preservation levels. A collector should therefore look beyond the year and ask, is the coin heavily worn? Does it retain original surfaces? Is the color natural? Are the letters and wheat lines sharp? Does it have distracting marks or evidence of cleaning? These questions can make a major difference in value. The most exciting part of the 1927 Lincoln cent story is what can happen when an example survives in extraordinary condition. PCGS auction records currently list an auction record of $40,800 for a 1927 Lincoln wheat cent graded MS68RD, sold by Heritage Auctions on January 19, 2025. That figure is an exceptional auction result for an exceptionally graded coin, and should never be interpreted as the normal value of an ordinary 1927 penny. Current marketplace and auction data also shows much more modest prices for lower high-grade examples. For instance, recent listed sales include 1927 cents around the tens of dollars in MS63, MS64 grades, while some MS65 and MS66 examples have sold for hundreds of dollars depending on color, certification, and quality. This creates a very important lesson for viewers. When a video says a 1927 penny can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, that possibility generally applies to particular high-grade, attractive, certified, or otherwise exceptional examples, not every old penny dated 1927. A coin's value is determined by the specific specimen, not merely by the date printed on it. If you discover a 1927 no-mint mark wheat penny, begin by examining it carefully under good lighting. First, confirm the date and make sure the coin really is a 1927 issue. Next, check the area beneath the date and remember that the lack of a mint mark is normal for Philadelphia. Then inspect Lincoln's portrait for remaining hair detail, cheek and jaw definition, and signs of heavy wear. Turn the coin over and examine the wheat ears, lettering, and central denomination. Look for strong detail and original-looking surfaces. Avoid cleaning the coin, because polishing, rubbing, harsh chemicals, or abrasive materials can permanently damage its collectible surfaces. Also look for scratches, corrosion, dark environmental damage, unusual discoloration, dye characteristics, doubling, or other possible varieties. If the coin appears exceptionally well preserved, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. A certified grade from a respected grading service can provide a standardized assessment and may make an important difference when a valuable coin is sold at auction. Remember that a rare-looking coin should be evaluated objectively rather than assuming the highest price seen online applies to it. So why can one 1927 wheat penny be worth only a few dollars while another can reach hundreds or even tens of thousands? The answer is the combination of grade, preservation, color, eye appeal, certification, rarity at the particular grade and actual buyer demand. A coin that survived nearly a century with minimal contact, strong original luster, excellent strike quality, and attractive red coloration is dramatically different from a brown, scratched, heavily circulated example. Population and auction competition also matter. If only a small number of coins survive at a particular exceptional grade, serious collectors can compete aggressively when one becomes available. The documented $40,800 PCGS auction record illustrates how extreme the difference can become at the very top of the condition scale. But viewers should remember that an auction record is not a guaranteed appraisal. It represents what a particular coin brought in a particular sale under particular circumstances. The same date can therefore have a broad market range, from a modest collectible value for circulated examples to hundreds or potentially much more for exceptional certified specimens. If you have a 1927 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark, don't throw it away and don't clean it. Keep it in a safe, non-damaging holder and examine both sides carefully. The fact that it has no mint mark is consistent with a Philadelphia issue, so the missing mint letter by itself does not make the coin an error. The key question is its condition and whether it possesses qualities that collectors value. For an ordinary circulated 1927 penny, current reference values can be relatively modest, while high-grade certified examples can move into the hundreds or, in exceptional cases, far higher. The documented PCGS auction record of $40,800 belongs to an extraordinary MS68RD example and should not be used as the expected value for a normal coin. Value disclaimer: the market values discussed in this video are guide-level examples based on documented numismatic information and auction results, not guaranteed selling prices. A normal circulated or lower-grade 1927 Philadelphia wheat penny should not be advertised as automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Exceptional prices generally apply to specifically graded, certified, high-quality, or otherwise special examples. Always verify current auction results and professional price guides before making a buying or selling decision. If your 1927 penny looks unusually sharp, has beautiful original color, or appears to be in exceptional condition, that is when it may deserve a closer professional evaluation. Next up, the 1928 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and because Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on its cents, a genuine 1928 penny without a letter beneath the date is normally the Philadelphia issue. According to PCGS, approximately 134,116,000 examples were struck at Philadelphia in 1928. This is important because many people see no mint mark and immediately assume the coin is a rare error, but on a 1928 Philadelphia cent, the absence of a mint mark is completely normal. Nevertheless, this coin represents an important period in American history. It was produced during the late 1920s, only a few years before the Great Depression transformed the American economy. Every penny leaving the mint was intended for everyday commerce, and these coins could have traveled through stores, banks, businesses, farms, and households for decades. Today, a worn 1928 wheat penny can still be an enjoyable historical collectible, while unusually well-preserved examples can bring dramatically higher prices. The key is understanding the difference between an ordinary circulated coin and a genuinely exceptional specimen. The 1928 Lincoln wheat penny carries the famous design created by Victor David Brenner, whose Lincoln portrait had already become one of the most recognizable designs in United States coinage. On the obverse you will see Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1928 surrounding his portrait. On a Philadelphia coin, there is no mint letter beneath the date. The reverse is equally important because it features the two wheat ears that gave the series its popular nickname, the wheat penny or wheat cent. The words 1 cent and United States of America appear prominently, along with EPLUIBUSUNUM above the denomination. The coin has a plain edge, measures about 19 millimeters in diameter, weighs approximately 3.11 grams, and is composed of roughly 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. These details can help you authenticate the basic type of coin you have. In a rough condition example, some of the lettering may be weak, the wheat lines may be partially worn away, and Lincoln's facial details may be difficult to see. That wear is not necessarily evidence of damage. Instead, it often reflects decades of genuine circulation. For collectors, the design itself is one of the reasons these old cents remain so popular. One of the biggest misunderstandings surrounding the 1928 Lincoln wheat penny concerns the missing mint mark. If you look below the date and see no D or S, that does not automatically mean the coin is a rare minting error. In 1928, coins produced at Philadelphia normally carried no mint mark, while cents struck at Denver carried a D, and San Francisco cents carried an S. PCGS lists the Philadelphia 1928 issue at 134,116,000 pieces, compared with 31,170,000 for Denver and 17,266,000 for San Francisco. Therefore, a 1928 cent with no mint mark is the Philadelphia version, and is actually the most common of the three major 1928 issues. This distinction is extremely important for a YouTube coin value discussion, because viewers should not be told that every 1928 no mint mark penny is automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. In reality, the coin's value depends heavily on condition, color, surface quality, authenticity, and whether it has an unusual variety or error. A rough 1928 Philadelphia cent is generally a modest value collectible rather than a guaranteed jackpot. However, the situation changes dramatically when you encounter an unusually high-grade example with exceptional preservation. PCGS reports a $22,800 auction record for a 1928 Philadelphia Lincoln cent graded MS68RD, showing how dramatically the market can reward an extraordinary specimen. When evaluating your 1928 wheat penny, condition is one of the most important factors to consider. A coin described as being in rough condition may have heavy scratches, dark oxidation, discoloration, environmental staining, significant circulation wear, or missing design details. If Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, and coat are heavily worn, and the wheat stalks on the reverse have lost much of their detail, the coin would generally fall into a lower circulated grade. Current guide information shows that ordinary 1928 Philadelphia cents can have values ranging from only a small premium above face value in lower grades to substantially higher amounts in exceptional uncirculated grades. PCG's General Lincoln Cent Guide lists the 1928 Philadelphia issue at approximately $0.25, $0.50 in good, $0.50, $1 in fine, $1.50 in extra fine, and $25 and up in uncirculated, while other market guides can show different figures depending on grade and market source. This means that a rough coin should not automatically be advertised as a $1,000 or $10,000 discovery. However, rough condition does not make the coin worthless. Its age, historical importance, and place in the Lincoln Cent series still make it collectible. More importantly, a collector should inspect the coin carefully before assuming it is simply a common worn penny. Sometimes an apparently ordinary coin can contain an interesting die characteristic, unusual strike, or other feature that deserves professional examination. Another fascinating aspect of the 1928 Lincoln Cent is the importance of color designation and surface preservation. Because these coins contain a high percentage of copper, their appearance can change significantly over many decades. Collectors commonly encounter coins described as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. A coin that has maintained attractive original red coloration and very clean surfaces can command a much stronger premium than a heavily circulated brown example. PCGS records separate market categories for these color designations, and its coin facts information shows just how much the highest quality 1928 Philadelphia cents can be worth. The exceptional MS-68 RD example reached $22,800 at a heritage auction sale on January 19, 2025, according to PCGS. Meanwhile, PCGS lists a $3,120 auction record for a 1928 Philadelphia cent graded XF45BN, demonstrating that even a circulated example in a particularly desirable certified grade can be worth substantially more than face value. These numbers illustrate an important lesson. The date alone does not create the value. Instead, collectors pay premiums for combinations of date, mint, grade, color, strike quality, surface preservation, and rarity. Therefore, if your 1928 penny is genuinely rough, it may not fall anywhere near the prices achieved by elite certified examples. But if you discover one with unusually strong details and exceptional surfaces, professional grading could become worthwhile. So what could a 1928 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark be worth in today's market? The answer depends strongly on condition. For a normal rough or heavily circulated Philadelphia example, realistic values are generally much closer to the coin's modest circulated market ranges than to sensational 4- or 5-figure claims. One current price guide places the 1928 Philadelphia cent around $0.16 in good, $0.74 in fine, $1.28 in very fine, and about $8 in uncirculated, while PCGS guide gives somewhat different reference ranges by grade. These differences demonstrate why collectors should treat online price guides as reference points rather than guaranteed selling prices. As the grade moves upward, prices can increase sharply. For example, PCGS reports the extraordinary MS-68 RD auction record of $22,800, while other market data shows substantially lower prices for ordinary uncirculated grades. So if your coin is truly in rough condition, do not expect thousands of dollars simply because it is dated 1928 and has no mint mark. On the other hand, if someone has a remarkable high-grade example, the potential value can move into the hundreds or thousands of dollars, and exceptional certified pieces can reach much higher levels. This is why accurate grading is essential before assigning a major value to any old wheat penny. Before selling or discarding your 1928 no-mint mark wheat penny, take a close look at several important characteristics. Start with the date, making sure it really is 1928 and has not been altered. Next, inspect the area beneath the date and confirm that there is no D or S mint mark. Then examine Lincoln's portrait for remaining hair, facial, jaw, and coat details. On the reverse, study the wheat stalks, lettering, and denomination. Pay particular attention to the surfaces because harsh cleaning can significantly reduce collector appeal. A coin with natural age surfaces may be preferable to one that has been polished or chemically cleaned. Also look for unusual doubling, die cracks, off-center striking, clipped planchets, or other genuine minting characteristics, but be careful because damage caused after the coin left the mint can look similar to an error. If your coin appears unusually sharp for its age, has attractive original color, or seems significantly different from ordinary circulated examples, professional authentication and grading may be worthwhile. The most valuable 1928 Philadelphia cents are not valuable merely because they are old. They are valuable because they combine exceptional preservation with strong collector demand. PCGS specifically notes that the 1928 Philadelphia cent is common in circulated grades, but becomes considerably more challenging and expensive at very high grades, particularly around MS67 and above. The 1928 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark is a wonderful example of how coin collecting can turn an ordinary-looking 1-cent piece into a window into American history. Produced at Philadelphia during the late 1920s, this penny was part of a large production run of more than 134 million pieces, so the no mint mark designation by itself does not make it an extreme rarity. Nevertheless, its age, classic Victor David Brenner design, copper composition, wheat reverse, and connection to the economic history of the United States make it a desirable coin for collectors. A rough example may be worth only a modest amount, while a well-preserved circulated specimen can bring several dollars, and exceptional certified coins can reach hundreds, thousands, or in extraordinary high-grade cases, much more. The documented $22,800 auction result for an MS68 RD 1928 Philadelphia cent proves that condition can completely transform the market value of an otherwise common date. So if you find one in your collection, don't clean it, don't damage it, and don't assume its value based solely on a headline price. Examine the date, mint mark area, condition, color, surfaces, and possible varieties carefully. Value disclaimer: market values change with grade, certification, color designation, surface condition, variety, authenticity, and actual auction results. A normal rough or lower grade 1928 no mint mark wheat penny should not be advertised as automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Exceptional prices generally apply to specifically graded, certified, high quality, or otherwise special examples. Always verify current auction results and professional price guides before making a buying or selling decision. Next up, the 1929 Lincoln Wheat cent with no mint mark, especially an example that appears dusty, worn, or heavily circulated. The first thing to understand is that a missing mint mark on a 1929 penny is not automatically an error. In 1929, coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint were intentionally produced without a mint mark, and the Philadelphia Mint struck 185,262,000 Lincoln cents that year. That makes the no mint mark 1929 penny a genuine Philadelphia issue rather than automatically a rare minting mistake. However, age, condition, remaining detail, original color, varieties, errors, and collector demand can all influence what an individual coin is worth. A dusty 1929 penny can look unimportant at first glance, but collectors know that every old coin deserves a closer examination before being dismissed. The 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny belongs to one of the most famous coin series in American numismatic history. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 and featured the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, the familiar wheat ears surrounded the words 1 cent and United States of America, creating the design that later became known as the Wheat Penny. By 1929, this design had already been circulating for 2 decades and had become an ordinary part of everyday American commerce. Interestingly, 1929 was still a year of very substantial cent production. PCGS notes that Philadelphia alone produced 185,262,000 Lincoln cents, while production from all 3 mint facilities combined exceeded 277 million pieces. These numbers are important because they explain why an ordinary circulated 1929 Philadelphia cent is generally not a $1,000 coin simply because it is old. Millions were produced, and many examples survive. The real collecting story begins when you examine condition, preservation, varieties, and exceptional examples rather than relying on the date alone. One of the most important details to check on a 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the area beneath the date. If there is no letter such as D or S, that does not necessarily mean something went wrong at the mint. For this particular year, a 1929 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place a mint letter on its cents. The 3 major 1929 issues were Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. Philadelphia produced 185,262,000 examples, Denver produced 41,730,000, and San Francisco produced 50,148,000. This distinction is extremely important for a YouTube audience because many people see a blank area beneath the date and immediately assume they have discovered a rare minting error. In the case of the regular 1929 Philadelphia cent, the absence of a mint mark is normal. That does not make the coin worthless, it simply identifies its mint of origin. Collectors then move on to the more important questions. How much detail remains? How original is the surface? Is there unusual toning? And does the coin have an identifiable variety or error? The 1929 Lincoln Wheat cent has several physical characteristics that help identify an authentic example. It is a small bronze composition coin measuring approximately 19 millimeters in diameter and weighing about 3.11 grams. The standard composition is approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait faces right, with Liberty beside him and the date 1929 below. The inscription in God We Trust appears across the top. On the reverse are the two wheat ears that give the series its famous nickname. Surrounding 1 cent, United States of America, and the inscription EPLUIBUSUNUM above. When examining a dusty example, pay special attention to the date, Lincoln's hair and facial features, the lettering, the wheat stalks and the rim. Dust and dirt can sometimes hide important details, but aggressive cleaning can permanently damage the coin's collectible surfaces. The goal should be careful identification, rather than trying to make the coin look shiny. Collectors generally prefer original surfaces over coins that have been harshly polished or chemically cleaned. Now let's talk about the part that most viewers are waiting for: value. A dusty or rough 1929 Philadelphia wheat penny generally should not automatically be advertised as being worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Current reference values show that ordinary examples can remain relatively affordable. USA Coin Books, February 2026 updated figures list approximately $0.30 in good condition, $0.36 in very good, $0.43 in fine, $0.93 in very fine, $3.62 in extremely fine, $6.25 in about uncirculated, around $10 in M-60, and around $18 in M-63, although actual selling prices can vary significantly. PCGS Guide similarly places ordinary 1929 Philadelphia cents in relatively modest ranges, with circulated examples generally worth less than high-grade specimens and uncirculated examples beginning around several dollars. Therefore, if your 1929 penny is heavily worn, dirty, scratched, corroded, or damaged, its value may be closer to the lower end of the market rather than hundreds or thousands. The important lesson is that old does not automatically mean rare, and a realistic appraisal must consider the coin's actual condition. So where do the higher prices come from? The answer is usually condition and exceptional quality. The 1929 Philadelphia cent was produced in a large quantity, so collectors can find circulated examples. But finding one with exceptionally strong preservation, attractive original color, sharp details, clean surfaces, and a high professional grade is much more difficult. PCGS specifically notes that while the 1929 Lincoln cent is a relatively common early wheat cent date, examples surviving in high grades can command substantially higher prices, with coins receiving a red designation capable of bringing additional premiums. This is where the phrase, worth hundreds or thousands, needs to be used carefully in a YouTube video. A normal dusty circulated coin is not automatically worth that much. Exceptional certified examples can be dramatically more valuable than ordinary pieces, but their prices depend on the precise grade, color designation, surface quality, and market demand. If someone claims that every 1929 no-mint mark penny is worth thousands, viewers should be cautious. The better approach is to say that exceptional specimens can enter much higher price levels, while ordinary circulated coins generally remain modestly priced. Before deciding what your 1929 wheat penny is worth, examine it carefully under good lighting. First, confirm that the date really reads 1929, because worn early Lincoln cents can sometimes have partially damaged digits. Next, check beneath the date for the mint mark, or in this case, confirm that there is intentionally no mint mark. Then inspect the entire coin for unusual characteristics. Look for doubling, unusual die characteristics, off-center striking, clipped planchets, cracks, major die breaks, or other mint-made abnormalities. Also examine the reverse for strong wheat details and signs that the surfaces remain original. If the coin is dusty, do not scrub it with household cleaners, metal polish, baking soda, or abrasive materials. Cleaning can leave scratches or unnatural surfaces and may reduce collector appeal. If you believe your example is unusually well preserved or potentially has a significant mint error, professional authentication and grading may be worthwhile. Remember that online asking prices are not the same thing as confirmed auction results. A genuine market value comes from comparable sales, professional price guides, and actual transactions. The 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a fascinating piece of American history because it connects collectors with the final years of the 1920s, just before the economic conditions of the Great Depression transformed American life. The Philadelphia no-mint mark version is historically important, but its large mintage of 185,262,000 coins means that the ordinary circulated example is generally not considered an ultra-rare coin. For a dusty, rough, heavily circulated specimen, realistic values are commonly in the low dollar or even sub-dollar range depending on exact grade and condition, while better preserved examples can move into several dollars or higher. Current guides provide reference ranges, but exceptional certified coins can command significantly more when quality and collector demand are strong. So if you find a 1929 no-mint mark wheat penny, don't throw it away, and don't assume it is automatically worth thousands either. Examine it carefully, protect its original surfaces, identify its condition, and compare it with reliable market data. Value disclaimer: the market values discussed in this video are guide-level examples based on numismatic references and market information, not guaranteed selling prices. A normal dusty or circulated 1929 Philadelphia wheat penny should not be advertised as automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Exceptional prices generally apply to specifically graded, certified, high-quality, rare variety, or otherwise special examples. Always verify current auction results and professional price guides before making a buying or selling decision. Next up, the date 1939. At first glance, a dirty and heavily circulated Lincoln wheat penny from this year may look like nothing more than an ordinary 1-cent coin. But old coins can become interesting to collectors because their value depends on much more than age alone. The 1939 Lincoln wheat cent with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where no mint mark was used on cents. According to NGC, the Philadelphia issue had a mintage of about 316.48 million coins, while another numismatic reference lists 316,466,000. The coin was made from the traditional bronze composition of approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighed about 3.11 grams, and measured approximately 19 millimeters across. That means your 1939 no-mint mark penny is definitely an authentic product of an important period in American coinage. However, there is an important distinction to make right at the beginning. A normal dirty or heavily circulated 1939 penny is generally not automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Its real value depends heavily on condition, color, variety, quality, and collector demand. The exciting part is that high-grade examples and unusual varieties can be substantially more valuable, which is why every 1939 penny deserves a careful examination before it is dismissed as ordinary pocket change. The 1939 Lincoln wheat penny belongs to one of the most recognizable coin series in United States history. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and its design was created by sculptor and engraver Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's portrait appears on the obverse, while the reverse displays two wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, along with the motto EPLURBUSUNUM. By 1939, this design had already been circulating for 3 decades, making the 1939 issue part of a well-established American tradition. The United States was also approaching the dramatic events of World War II, making this coin a fascinating historical time capsule. People used these pennies for everyday purchases, carried them in pockets, dropped them into cash registers, and saved them in household containers. The vast majority were eventually worn, damaged, lost, or melted over time, while a smaller number survived in collections. This history is one reason collectors enjoy wheat cents. Even an inexpensive example can represent an actual piece of everyday American life from the late 1930s. When you hold a 1939 penny today, you are holding a coin that circulated during an era when the United States was on the verge of entering one of the most consequential periods of the 20th century. One of the first things collectors check on a wheat penny is the mint mark. For the 1939 issue, the absence of a mint mark is not an error. Instead, it indicates that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins made at Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark, while coins produced at Denver generally carried a D, and San Francisco coins carried an S. NGC identifies the 1939 no mint mark cent as the Philadelphia issue and gives its mintage as 316,479,520, while PCGS lists 316,466,000, illustrating that published mintage figures can differ slightly among references. When examining your coin, look below the date and around the area where a mint mark would normally appear on later issues. If there is simply no letter there, that can be completely normal for a Philadelphia 1939 cent. This is an important point because some people mistakenly assume that every old coin without a mint mark is a rare error. That is not the case. The real collecting interest comes from the combination of the date, Philadelphia origin, condition, strike quality, color, possible die variety, and overall preservation. So if your 1939 penny has no mint mark, you have the correct Philadelphia variety, but the missing letter alone does not make it a rare error coin. The most recognizable feature of the 1939 Lincoln wheat cent is its classic design. On the obverse, Lincoln faces right, with "In God We Trust" above his portrait, Liberty to the left, and the date 1939 on the right. On the reverse are the two wheat stalks that give the series its famous nickname, with 1 cent prominently displayed in the center. Because this particular coin is made of bronze, its original reddish color can change dramatically over decades. A coin that once had a bright copper-red appearance may gradually become reddish-brown or brown because of oxidation and environmental exposure. Collectors commonly distinguish coins by color designations such as brown, red-brown, and red, particularly for uncirculated examples. PCGS catalogs the 1939 Philadelphia cent in these color categories and also identifies double die varieties for the issue. This is where your dirty coin becomes interesting. Dirt, dark toning, stains, corrosion, scratches, and environmental damage can reduce collector appeal, but sometimes what looks like an ordinary surface can hide important details underneath. The date should be checked carefully, the lettering should be examined for unusual doubling, and the reverse should be inspected for sharp wheat lines and strong details. Never assume that a dirty appearance automatically means the coin has no value, but also never assume that dirt itself makes the coin rare. And why dirty does not mean valuable condition is one of the biggest factors determining the market value of a 1939 Lincoln wheat penny. A heavily circulated coin may have flattened details on Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, and coat, while the wheat stalks on the reverse may also show significant wear. A coin in fine or very fine condition can still be collectible, but it usually does not command the same premium as an exceptionally preserved uncirculated example. Current reference data illustrates this difference clearly. USA Coin Books February 2026 values list typical 1939 Philadelphia wheat cents at approximately $0.18 in good, $0.30 in very fine, $0.61 in extremely fine, $1.24 in about uncirculated, and about $2.50 to $3.62 in the listed uncirculated grades, with a higher figure for the proof category. These are reference values, not guaranteed selling prices. A genuinely dirty circulated 1939 penny could therefore be worth only a modest amount above face value. The important lesson for viewers is not to clean the coin aggressively. Scrubbing, polishing, chemical cleaning, or abrasive materials can permanently damage the original surface and potentially lower collector value. If you find one in dirty condition, the safest approach is usually to leave it as found and have it evaluated if you believe there may be something unusual about it. So what could a 1939 no mint mark wheat penny be worth in today's market? The answer can range from a small premium over face value to significantly higher prices for exceptional examples. For ordinary circulated coins, the values are generally modest, as the February 2026 reference figures show. But the situation changes when you move into high-grade certified examples. PCGS records an auction result of $288 for a 1939 Philadelphia cent graded MS63 brown, sold by Stack's Bowers in June 2024. NGC's auction data for 1939 Philadelphia cents also shows an overall average price of about $99.81 for its recorded MS auction examples, with an average grade around MS65. although auction averages are not a price guarantee for any particular coin. Other market tracking data shows that exceptional grades can reach much higher levels, but those figures should be treated carefully because very high-grade coins are dramatically different from ordinary dirty circulated pieces. This is why headlines claiming that every 1939 wheat penny is worth thousands of dollars can be misleading. A rare high-grade specimen, certified variety, or exceptional auction coin may bring a strong price, while a normal worn example may be worth only cents or a few dollars. The key is identifying exactly what you have before assigning a value. Another reason collectors examine 1939 Lincoln wheat cents carefully is the existence of recognized die varieties. PCGS specifically lists 1939 doubled die obverse varieties, including F-101 examples, and records an auction result of $118 for an MS63 example of the double die variety. If you are searching through old pennies, look closely at the lettering and date rather than relying only on the coin's overall appearance. Genuine doubled dies can show distinctive separation or doubling in specific areas, but ordinary strike weakness, machine doubling, scratches, damage, or dirt can easily be mistaken for a valuable variety. A magnifying glass and good lighting can help you inspect the date, Liberty, In God We Trust, and other lettering. Also examine the reverse for unusual doubling or other characteristics. If something looks genuinely unusual, do not clean or alter the coin before obtaining a professional opinion. A certification company or experienced numismatist can determine whether an apparent variety is actually recognized and collectible. This is especially important because the difference between a normal 1939 penny and a special variety may be substantial, but the variety must be authenticated before you can reasonably expect a premium. The 1939 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark is a fascinating piece of American history, but its value should be judged realistically. Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of these cents, so the no mint mark designation by itself does not make the coin exceptionally rare. A dirty, heavily circulated example will usually fall toward the lower end of the market, while coins with strong original surfaces, attractive color, sharp details, exceptional grades, or recognized varieties can be much more desirable to collectors. Current reference and auction information demonstrates that ordinary examples can be inexpensive, while certified high-grade or special variety examples can reach substantially higher prices. So if you discover a 1939 penny in an old collection, don't throw it away and don't clean it with household chemicals. First, confirm the date, check that there is no mint mark, examine both sides under good lighting, look for unusual doubling, and evaluate the overall condition. Most importantly, remember that a headline value of hundreds or thousands of dollars generally applies to a specific grade, variety, certification, or exceptional example, not automatically to every 1939 wheat penny. Value disclaimer: market values change with grade, certification, surface condition, color designation, variety, authenticity, and actual auction results. The figures and examples mentioned in this video are reference market information, not a guarantee that every 1939 Lincoln wheat penny will sell for those amounts. Always compare recent auction results and professional price guides before making a buying or selling decision. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most historically fascinating pennies ever produced by the United States Mint because it was struck during World War II, when the country was facing an enormous demand for strategic metals. Instead of the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents, the Mint produced the 1943 cents using zinc-coated steel. The U.S. Mint confirms that steel was used for the 1-cent coin during 1943 because copper was needed for wartime materials. The San Francisco issue carries an S Mint mark, identifying it as a product of the San Francisco Mint. Today, collectors are particularly interested in examples that remain in uncirculated or mint state condition, because preservation can make an enormous difference in collector demand and market value. It is important, however, to understand that simply being a 1943 steel penny does not automatically make the coin worth thousands of dollars. More than 100 million 1943 steel cents were struck, making ordinary examples relatively available, while exceptional high-grade pieces can command substantially higher prices. To understand this coin, we need to travel back to 1943, when the United States was deeply involved in World War II. Copper had become an important strategic material for military production, including ammunition and other wartime equipment. The Mint therefore had to find an alternative material for the nation's 1-cent coin. The solution was a temporary change to zinc-coated steel, creating the famous silver-colored 1943 Lincoln cent. This was an extraordinary departure from the familiar copper-colored wheat penny. According to the U.S. Mint, 1943 was the only year in which regular circulating Lincoln cents were made from zinc-coated steel. The change was not intended to create a rare collectible, it was a practical wartime decision. Millions of these steel cents entered everyday commerce, where they could easily be confused with silver coins because of their bright gray appearance. The wartime experiment lasted only 1 year, and by the end of 1943 the emergency steel cent was discontinued. The following year, copper-based cents returned to circulation. This short production period is one of the main reasons collectors continue to find the 1943 steel cent so interesting more than 8 decades later. The S Mint mark is one of the most important identifying features of the coin discussed in this video. On the 1943 S Lincoln wheat cent, the S indicates that the coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint. The U.S. Mint explains that mint marks identify the facility where a coin was made, with S representing San Francisco. When examining your coin, look carefully at the mint mark area and make sure the letter is genuinely part of the original design rather than damage, alteration, or another form of manipulation. Collectors also examine the date, lettering, Lincoln portrait, wheatstalk reverse, surface quality, and overall strike. The reverse features the classic 2 wheat ears surrounding the inscriptions associated with the Lincoln cent design. Because these coins were produced during wartime, their appearance can vary significantly depending on storage and circulation. A heavily circulated example may show darkening, scratches, corrosion, or loss of the original zinc surface, while a well-preserved uncirculated coin can retain considerable original detail and mint luster. That difference in preservation is extremely important when determining collector value. Now let's talk about the conditions specified for this particular coin, uncirculated condition. An uncirculated coin is one that has not experienced the normal wear associated with spending and circulation. Instead of focusing only on whether the coin looks shiny, collectors examine the amount of original detail, remaining mint luster, surface marks, strike quality, color, and contact marks. The U.S. Mint's collecting glossary explains that mint state refers to a coin's grade in terms of preservation and quality of strike. This means that an attractive 1943 steel cent with strong details and minimal marks can be much more desirable than an ordinary worn example. However, steel cents have a special problem. The zinc coating can deteriorate, discolor, or develop corrosion if the coin was exposed to moisture or unfavorable conditions. A coin may therefore appear bright at first glance but still have problems that affect its grade. Professional grading services evaluate these characteristics carefully. For collectors, the difference between an ordinary uncirculated coin and a truly exceptional high-grade example can be dramatic. That is why you should never judge the value of a 1943 solely by looking at the date and mint mark. One of the biggest reasons the 1943 Lincoln cent has become famous is the existence of a very small number of 1943 copper alloy cents. These are completely different from the normal steel cents and are extraordinarily rare. The U.S. Mint states that approximately 40 examples of the 1943 copper alloy cent are known to exist, and that they are believed to have been struck accidentally when copper alloy blanks remained in the production system. This distinction is extremely important because people sometimes hear stories about valuable 1943 pennies and assume every steel cent is worth a fortune. That is not correct. A normal 1943 steel cent is a legitimate wartime coin, but it is not the same thing as a rare 1943 copper era. The U.S. Mint has also warned that counterfeiters have attempted to create false 1943 copper cents by coating steel cents with copper or altering other dates. If someone believes they have a genuine 1943 copper cent, professional authentication is essential. For a normal 1943 steel cent, the magnetic nature of steel is also a useful identification clue, although magnet testing alone should never replace professional authentication when a potentially valuable error is involved. So what could a 1943 steel wheat penny in uncirculated condition be worth today? This is where collectors need to be realistic. Current market information shows that ordinary circulated 1943 cents can be worth relatively modest amounts, while pristine uncirculated examples can reach much higher levels. NGC's July 2026 Coin Explorer lists circulated 1943 wheat pennies at approximately $0.05 to $2. While noting that pristine uncirculated examples have sold on the open market for as much as $7,000. PCGS also reports that the 1943's issue had a mintage of more than 100 million coins and notes that exceptionally high-grade examples can be valuable. Its CoinFacts page records a major auction result of $138,000 for a 1943's graded MS68+, demonstrating how dramatically value can rise at the extreme top end of the grading scale. These figures should not be interpreted as saying every uncirculated 1943's is worth thousands of dollars. Most examples will be worth far less, and the highest prices are associated with extraordinary condition, professional certification, exceptional eye appeal, and strong market demand. The exact value of any individual coin must be determined from its actual grade and characteristics. If you discover a 1943's steel cent, do not immediately clean it, polish it, scratch it, or apply chemicals in an attempt to make it look more valuable. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and may reduce collector appeal. Instead, examine the coin under good lighting and use magnification to inspect the date, the S mint mark, Lincoln's portrait, the wheat stalk reverse, and the overall surfaces. Look for original mint luster, sharp details, excessive contact marks, scratches, discoloration, corrosion, and evidence of cleaning or alteration. If the coin appears unusually well preserved, professional grading may be worth considering, especially when the potential market value justifies the expense. Remember that rarity is only one part of the equation. Condition, authenticity, strike quality, surface preservation, certification, and actual buyer demand can all influence the final selling price. PCGS specifically notes that 1943 steel cents were struck in huge numbers and are relatively inexpensive, except in the highest uncirculated grades. Therefore, the real treasure hunt is not simply finding the year 1943. It is finding an authentic example with exceptional preservation, or a legitimate variety or error. The 1943's Lincoln wheat cent is much more than a 1-cent coin. It is a physical reminder of America's World War II home front, when the U.S. Mint temporarily replaced the traditional copper-based cent with zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. Its unusual silver-gray appearance, classic wheat reverse, historic wartime composition, and San Francisco's mint mark make it a fascinating addition to a Lincoln cent collection. If your 1943's is truly uncirculated and exceptionally well preserved, it could be substantially more valuable than a worn example, with current market references showing that top-quality pieces can reach into the thousands of dollars, while exceptional certified examples have achieved far higher auction results. But remember, a normal 1943's steel cent should not automatically be advertised as a rare coin worth thousands of dollars. Value disclaimer: market values change with grade, certification, surface condition, color designation, strike quality, varieties, errors, authenticity, and actual auction results. The figures discussed in this video are reference market examples, not guaranteed selling prices. Always compare your coin with recent auction results and professional price guides before making a buying or selling decision. And if you have a 1943's steel penny sitting in an old collection, coin jar, or family box, take a closer look. You may have a fascinating piece of American wartime history in your hands. Thanks for watching.